Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back again.
Please do subscribe, guys, both channels. Evolutionary, we were just talking about that huge Nord Stream leak going on. Oh, there's a lot to that. That's going to be there's a couple things going on right now that are going to be, feels like major events, major triggers. And also EEARTS. We were just watching some video going on in the UK. Society feels like it's starting to really spiral out of control. So we want to keep putting our intentions out there for people to come to an understanding in their hearts of what's going on, the manipulation that is always going on. Behind the scenes, just that creating, and to use the words of Albert Pike back in 1871, fomenting. Yeah, we don't really use that word much, but fomenting division. So does the saboteurs of these secret societies that really rule this planet behind the scenes from the shadows.
Yes, and they do it very well with just extreme skill.
Order out of chaos, and we certainly have chaos, and we know they want a new world order. Goes hand in hand. Here you see Radek Sikorsky and his statement, "Thank you, USA." Why would he say that? Looking at the Nord Stream bubbling going on. Poland's former Minister of National Defense and Foreign Minister has posted, "Thank you, USA," with a picture of the Nord Stream gas leak. Well, as we were talking about over there, it definitely appears to be sabotage. And in fact, actually 46 basically made the statement that if Russia invades Ukraine, Nord Stream's going to go bye-bye. And now it's going bye-bye, or at least has been sabotaged. And here you see, apparently someone sabotaged both pipelines. Europe can no longer get gas from Russia, even if it wants to. Who benefits from this? USA, of course. Apparently the great master was worried that Europeans would show weakness this winter and make concessions with Russia. Yeah, absolutely. Always creating division. And we are going into, as we've been warning you guys and letting you know, there is a increasing in the intensity of everything that we've faced so far that's going to be happening in this last quarter of this year. And now we can clearly see, the writing's on the table. We're going to a whole new level and in different ways.
Well, we can see that the division in so many ways really needs to happen. Things have to change, but where is it where we have some free will involved is how we choose to conduct ourselves during these changes. That's how we can take our power back.
Will, the real 46, the real Slim Shady, please stand up. Seriously, when you look at him from day to day, even on the same day in different circumstances when he's showing up in front of the public, it looks like a different person. And it's so extreme and so obvious, it's causing more and more people to question this in the mainstream. I can't wait till that reality comes out. But of course, he might not be on the public scene for too much more. If we look at his astrological chart and the astrological chart for the nation, as well as some other signs, he might not be with us too much longer out in the open. Who knows if he's still going to be with us in reality or not, or how many of them will be. Well, I can't wait to see all the masks come off of everything here.
Well, if we actually saw masks come off and not just have reports of people being arrested, that would be real change.
Yeah, absolutely. And we pay no attention to those because, again, some will say, well, hey, the real one's been killed. Yeah, but there's still a clone doing the exact same thing. So the point is, has anything changed? No, it's just still spiraling in that direction of the powers that be. Talking about spiraling, that's spiraling, a well-defined eye, Hurricane Ian. And, there's a lot of people, I've been looking at some comments, a lot of people are pointing fingers and saying, this one feels manufactured. This one feels steered. Hurricane Michael, if you remember, tropical storm to really turn into a Cat 5 in like 24 hours. That was just something we have never seen before. In the old days, they would say, God's mad at us. Somebody sinned. Now we realize, well, they're just turning up the amplification. They're flicking a new switch.
I know. We're beginning to have a little too much understanding for their taste.
So, yes, Ian went over Cuba, weakened a little bit as was forecasted, winds at 115 miles an hour, but now strengthening will occur in 87 to 85 degree water. It is like a big bathtub, and down there it is about 5 degrees warmer than typical this time of year as well. This is absolutely a very, very dangerous storm. It could be the worst storm we've seen in Tampa in 100 years, and expected to strengthen into a Cat 4 storm with 140 mile an hour winds, guys. That's a stone's throw from a Cat 5. And we know, again, I shared with you on the last video, I remember when I was living in Sarasota, reading articles written saying, what happens if a Cat 5 hits Tampa? And coming in the direction that it's coming in, again, it depends on the tides as well as far as all the flooding that we're going to get and how fast it's going. Currently was 10 miles an hour. But this could be just, catastrophic is a word that's used many times. This truly would be that scenario. It just, again, anything that could happen definitely can happen, and even more, again, in these times with all the technologies. So it did make landfall in Cuba as a Category 3. The winds were 125 miles an hour. Absolutely, damage has occurred in Cuba, as to be expected. And again, we send our prayers and best wishes to everyone there. When we look at where this is going, it is heading, basically right now, the last I read was saying that this is heading for an impact probably somewhere around Venice. And Venice, Nokomis, Sarasota, on up to Bradenton, Tampa, as far down south as Fort Myers. Again, this whole area, you just have to be as prepared as possible. Over 300,000 people being evacuated. You'll probably have hurricane force winds hitting Jacksonville and going through Orlando as well. There are warnings and watches all the way up into the Carolinas. As we see the spaghetti models, there's a couple that have it heading off a little bit more towards the Panhandle, and we see this one that has it taking more of a right turn around Naples or even south of Naples. But the majority are in agreement, somewhere perhaps between Port Charlotte up to Tampa and just above. You better hang on tight and be as prepared as possible, as here we're seeing the winds that are going to be playing havoc. And you got that purple color there. It's not good. There's a lot of people that live in this area.
I know. I mean, this is something where we really have to get serious about focusing our energy in a way where people are going to be stabilized, even if they have to face this thing, finding a way to stay safe, get the things, the food, clothing that they might need. Let's just really hold this thing stable so people don't get hurt.
Absolutely. So, of course, you got storm surge watches and warnings up, basically just to make it simple. If you're on the West Coast, again, anywhere between Fort Myers all the way up to the Panhandle, you have to be very aware and alert. So much of Florida is literally just a few feet above sea level. And they are talking in some areas, we might see 2 feet of rain in some areas where this is going to be coming ashore. 2 feet of rain is no joke. This is going to be a big one. And so again, use your intent. We can absolutely affect our environment with our intentions. We understand that, this is exactly the type of thing that there are technologies out there that can influence. Whether we're looking at it from a weather warfare standpoint, and you could point your fingers over at Beijing or Moscow, or you could point your fingers maybe over at Davos, or maybe, over at the UN, or wherever you want to point them. Any way you look at it, this is going to be a mess.
Mm-hmm. It is. Just hold stable for these people.
And so a lot of people are evacuating the area. We had Super Typhoon Noru. Now the winds on this were up well into 140 mile an hour range. It left 8 fatalities in the Philippines, and landfall is expected, a second landfall, this time in Vietnam, tomorrow. So please do send your prayers over that way. So of 68 global warming models, the observed temperature is running below in 67 of them. What does that say for global warming and the scenario that they're pushing on us? Well, we understand. Again, it's all about selling things to the public. At some point, enough of the public's going to be awake where they can't sell, and then they're going to try to just probably tell anyway. They will use whatever powers they can to keep going forward with their agendas. But this is getting to be pretty obvious, I think, to more and more people.
Well, I know. I mean, with every different thing they advertise out there, they have another service to sell, and people are definitely picking up on that.
So we have a moderate geomagnetic storm that's been ongoing, and this does affect us in many ways. It is affecting us emotionally. Some people you might feel just completely wiped and lethargic. Other ones you might be wired through the roof. KP index did hit 6, and then it's popped up to 4 a couple of times. This is definitely that evolutionary energy in these times that's coming in and saturating the planet. Home prices cooled in July at the fastest rate in the history of the S&P. And when we look down, we see Tampa, Miami, and Dallas saw the highest annual gains among 20 cities in July, with increases of 31.8, 31.7, and 24.7% respectively. It'd be interesting to see the impact if this does have an impact on Tampa. There are also a lot of people that are bailing on their deals that are in place right now. And you're also going to have a lot of banks that are no longer going to give you a fixed rate loan because of the inflation, which will turn hyperinflationary, and the devaluation of the dollar. We understand it's all part of that push for a global digital currency, a new system in which, Big Brother tells you what you can buy when you can buy it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, now's our chance to take back control.
Half of Americans think they're going to leave their job within the next year. That's a lot of people going to be ditching their job. So there's a huge revolution underway. And what the powers that be want, obviously, they want us to be totally reliant on them, completely reliant on them for everything. So, some might look at universal basic income and say, this is great, I get paid to do nothing. Sort of. It's again, slavery. It's slavery. But hey, we're told in Colossians 3:22, slaves, obey your earthly masters. Isn't that curious? They put that in there. Your earthly masters. Slaves, obey your earthly masters. I wonder if that was penned in the WEF or was that penned in the UN? Feels like it.
I don't know. The only thing you can really oppose that with is as opposed to unearthly masters, right?
Absolutely. So flexibility, the major reason why. What's happening is people are awakening. Things that used to make people happy just don't do it now. Maybe even shows you used to watch, all of a sudden now they're just boring, or you just have no interest, or they're repulsive, like you can't stand to even watch them. This is because there's a spiritual revolution underway. And everything you see, all this chaos is about stopping the spiritual revolution. Because the fact of the matter is, we would all be getting along better and better instead of worse and worse. Beijing bus drivers have to have their emotions tracked by the government using AI bracelets. So now They're going to be monitoring their blood pressure, their emotions, their exercise, and their sleep as well. It sounds like a case of Colossians 3:22. Better obey your earthly masters. You didn't get your exercise in this week. Uh-oh. You're not going to be able to buy anything even though you have the money. Again, you got to have your social credit score, your carbon credits, as well as your digital currency in the bank.
Right, they're tightening that noose.
And here you got somebody rebelling. Sorry for any inconvenience, but as of 5th of October, we're going to be going to cash only. Cash only. And maybe it'll be silver only. Or something else. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take ticked off people that say, even though it's going to be a pain in the butt, I got to step outside of this system. I got to find other people that want to do this too. And we'll figure out our own way. Bartering hens for something. Work, trade, barter. Again, think out of the box. And here you have a picture of Jupiter at opposition. This closest it's been to the Earth in 59 years. And so Jupiter is the king, Brihaspati.
Right. This is a very, very important energy full of wisdom. And this is part of what people are running into lately these days, is that Jupiterian energy within astrology. It's your divine wisdom. It's your past life knowledge, what you brought from past lives into this life. And it's all starting to awaken now in the light body. So we're having these massive discoveries, and also having probably some heartbreaks happen because we realize we can't do the same thing or be with the same people that we used to. We just simply are not vibing any longer. We're changing in frequency, changing in vibration, and that's what evolution is. So even though it can be painful to separate from energies, embrace it because it's for our growth.
Absolutely. And so we've had Jupiter on one side of us and Mercury on the other. Mercury's communication and wisdom and messages from the king. Yes, absolutely. So great change underway. Hold your vibes high, guys, in these times. Have that regular spiritual practice. We want to thank all our Patreons. There's 116 people that have been supporting the channel on Patreon, and also thank those that have done a one-time donation on Ko-Fi, or also that have been supporting us just like on Patreon, which you could do monthly as well. So we can continue to make the videos. And again, when you look at EEARTS here, this is why we chose this, because at some time there's going to be a separation. Do you want to be on the dead, lifeless AI, just hull of a planet, shell? What was the name of that? Klipoth. Yes, there's a Hebrew term there that refers to a lifeless entity that's nothing but a shell. That's basically, that's the leadership of this planet when you get down to it. And that's what they want us to be, but that's not what we want. No, I mean, if you're listening to this, I'm sure that you also want to live on a planet that's free, that supports individuality and the uniqueness of all life, and also has just a general respect for life itself.
Indeed.
Much love. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.